everybody, and welcome to the NORA SEROUSSI show. Tonight I have a surprise for everybody. I have a special guest. I have His Excellency David Saranga, who is the Ambassador to Israel in Romania. Welcome, Baruch haba.
Thank you, Noah. It's a pleasure.
I'm not going to impress everybody with my Hebrew because it's not so good. So the few words I know I will throw in and out here and there. And I told you that we do the show in English because when I speak Romanian, they make fun of my Romanian.
It's pity I didn't know that earlier, since I took grammar lessons the entire afternoon.
Oh, did you really? I'm very
No, I didn't.
Bravo! I should be doing that, but I haven't. And if I tell you that my son speaks, really, I could think perfectly. I mean, he didn't when he started kindergarten at Lauder. He speaks beautifully, and he corrects me. But I honestly did not learn Romanian in school. I learned it on the road. I moved here. How do you build this? How do you do this? And that's how I learned the words and to communicate. And if I do an interview, usually they're giggling because of how I pronounce it or how I say it. But I'm trying, and people appreciate that I'm trying. Like in Israel, when you try to speak Hebrew, and my Hebrew also is not amazing, but I'm making the effort, and people appreciate that I try. So you can relax, it's in English.
Thank you.
So welcome back
Thank
to
you.
Romania, because I understood you were here so many years ago.
Yeah, I've been here 20 years ago, between 97 and 2000. This was my first mission abroad as a diplomat. I was the vice ambassador, the deputy ambassador here in Romania between 97 and 2000. A great experience. A great experience, and back then I had the opportunity to study the language, which I love, which I adore, and I think it's a huge advantage when you speak the language, not only because of professional issues, also in order to communicate with people. If a diplomat wants to have an experience, a good experience in the country where he serves, he must speak the language.
I would think so. I agree with that. And I'm impressed that you learned it. I found that only... Actually, you know when I found out you were here before? When we met 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
At the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to tell you something probably you didn't know.
Please.
So it was the 29th anniversary of the Romania-Israel Chamber of Commerce. I was the honorary ambassador for the Romania-Israel Chamber of Commerce when they did the 20th anniversary.
I didn't know that.
I know you didn't know that. So we had a beautiful event in the chandelier room in the Chamber of Commerce, the one on the corner near Uniri. It was lovely. And then you said to me, oh yes, I know about your suits, the Seroussi suits from 20 years ago. And I was like, you do? And that took me by surprise. I was like, and then I asked you, why aren't you wearing it? And you said, because I moved back to Israel. I said, oh, that's a good reason.
And you asked me which one I wear.
Well, yes, I wanted to check tonight, and by the way, he's not wearing my suit. I'm not going to mention the other people because it's my competition. But next time, if we do something, I'm sure when I'll ask him, I have a feeling I know the answer already.
Yeah, but back then I remember the place where I used to buy my suits were at Seroussi's, at your father's place.
Did you ever meet my daddy?
Yeah, of course,
yeah?
Of course.
I came here. Actually, it's about 14 years now. It's a long time. And it's going quick. And yes, I agree with you. I mean, I love the language. Okay, I'm not so proficient, but I love the people. I love the energy. I love the food. On the whole, I really love the food. There's one or two I can't get into, but the rest of it, I love the food. I love the music. I love the atmosphere, you know? And I've said it before, for a cold country, it's unusual because usually they're a bit more stiff and very solemn, but here you don't feel that. I mean, it's a lot. I think you and I maybe will. I said it's a lot like Israel. People said, "What do you mean?" I said they have a joie de vivre. Now the Israelis, in my opinion, it's different because they always have the threat over them, and they live every day to the fullest. And that's my feeling when I'm there, and I understand it, and I appreciate that. The Romanians also have that joie de vivre and that living the life to the fullest. So I can see why the Israelis love to come here.
You're right. You're
and
right.
the Romanians like to go to Israel because it's very similar. That's what I wrote for the tagline tonight.
That's true. Last year, 106,000 Romanians visited Israel, and this year we're expecting more than 130,000 Romanians who are coming to Israel. If in the past, the main reason Romanians used to visit Israel was because of religious reasons, visiting Jerusalem, the holy places, etc., etc. Today we see a different trend. Yes, people are still coming to Israel in order to explore and to visit the holy places, but you see also big numbers of tourists who are coming to visit the modern part of Israel, mainly Tel Aviv, Haifa, Eilat, all these places where you can enjoy good food, nightlife, a nice atmosphere, and as you said, this desire of people to live, the beach, etc., etc. And the fact is that you can combine them both. You can see the history, the traditional part of Israel, but at the same time you can see also modernism, and the combination of the two makes Israel as a great destination for Romanians.
It is very special. I have done the Masada and the Dead Sea and Jerusalem and the part of the history itself. And it's amazing when you sit and you think about it. And then you go to the new side. Tel Aviv is just, well, people, I want to tell you, Tel Aviv, you don't know anything about it, hopping. Hopping. New York, another New York, except on this side. Busy all the time, people, food. It's terrific. People go there and they're attracted to it if they want that kind of action.
That's true. I was born in Tel Aviv. I was born and raised in Tel Aviv, and still, before coming to Romania, I lived in Tel Aviv. This is the city I feel connected to. And the truth is that it's a 24/7 city, which means it's open all day long, all night long, parties, the beach, good food, as you mentioned. But the thing that makes Tel Aviv what it is the vibe, the people. And this is only a place that you can experience while you are there.
I love it, and especially in the summer. Not when, like midsummer for me, but summer, and it's hot, and everybody's out. And you know, sometimes I want to ask you a question. You go down to Dizengoff, the cafes are full. And I said, doesn't anybody work? I'm so curious about this. Am I the only person that asked that?
I wish I had the answer. I asked myself the same question.
Oh, you did?
Of course.
Because I sit there and I think, this is fantastic. I'm on holiday.
I ask myself this question during the day when I see everyone sitting in the cafes and drinking their coffee. But I ask myself also the same question during the night because they are partying all night long. And I ask myself, don't they have to get up tomorrow morning in order to go to work? Hello?
Okay, you're asking from a work point of view. I usually go there on holiday. So I'm like, okay, I'm on holiday. It's normal. I sit in the coffee shop. It's packed. Lovely. Okay. Nobody works. Great. I can imagine from your point of view, don't you want to get up tomorrow? Because it's already like 2 o'clock. And that's another thing. It is one of the most child-friendly cities, countries actually, I've ever been to.
I couldn't agree more.
Which when I was only appreciated when I became a parent. Because, you know, when you go in other places, there's no facilities. In bathrooms, they don't have high chairs for the kids. They cater to children. The malls are full of kids. It's amazing. When you go somewhere else and you go outside, that's when you start to appreciate the difference.
I totally agree. I have a 5-year-old son, my first son, my only son. And before that, I used to go to places with no kids. I mean, this was one of the conditions, no kids. Things have changed, and today I see how kids-friendly the city became. Yeah. And one of the reasons for that is the fact that many Israelis, many young Israelis, mainly from the IT sector, are living in Tel Aviv. In the past, still also in the present, it's very expensive to live in Tel Aviv. The rent is 50% more than a city which is only 3 kilometers away from Tel Aviv. The rent is very high, real estate is very high.
I know.
The standard of living is very high in Tel Aviv, but still there are many people, many young people from the IT, mainly from the IT sector, who can afford themselves. So therefore, Tel Aviv became a city with a lot of kids, of young people.
You go to the mall, and it's full of kids everywhere, and they really cater to, and I think it's terrific. Here they're doing that too. Like if you go to Afi, they have a whole section, well, they're rebuilding it now, created for the kids. It's very important. And as a consumer and as a businesswoman, from the other side, it's important when you build something like that to factor in part of the population is the parents with the kids. And as a parent, I will go where there's so much activity for the child, as opposed to where I have to sit and, there's nothing to do.
Makes sense.
It's a business. And the kids come with the parents, they generate, it's income. You buy them ice cream, you buy, I want to go see a movie. We go pretty much every weekend to the films. We need to buy a pair of pants, we need that. And you make it so easy. And as a parent, I appreciate that. Because you go to some other countries where they have nothing, it's boring for the kid and it's torturous for the parents.
Makes sense.
So I'm really, I see, and of course you go to the beach is wonderful.
Also for the kids, but not only for the kids.
No, well, I don't know about him. He goes in there, as long as I can see him, now he's old enough, I can keep an eye on him. I have my watermelon, I'm happy.
Talking about Tel Aviv, last year we had 2 huge events which took place in Tel Aviv. And this was also one of the reasons why so many tourists came to Tel Aviv. The first and the most known one is the Eurovision Song Contest.
Everybody knew about that.
Everyone have been there. Of course, I was there. It was a huge production, an amazing one, a very successful one. And you were walking in the streets of Tel Aviv and you're seeing people from all around Europe partying during the day and during the night, because there were activities for these Eurovision lovers also during the night. So this was one of the activities, one of the events. The second event was the gay parade, the Tel Aviv Gay Parade, which is huge. And every year there are more than 35,000 tourists who are coming only for one weekend or only for the gay parade in Tel Aviv. So therefore, we had these 2 amazing events, big events, and of course you have also tourists the entire year. But these 2 events were really one of the reasons why people arrived to Israel for a certain purpose.
Super. It has a much bigger exposure than it did, I don't know, even, I grew up going every summer because my grandmother was living there. And I have seen the changes there, also coming to Romania. I don't know if most people even realize that I actually have been coming to Romania since I was about that high. Every summer, by the way. So I've seen all the changes. And now I live here and I moved my whole life over here and I made friends and I have business and it's wonderful.
Talking about changes, I knew the city from 20 years ago. I knew the country from 20 years ago. And when people are asking me, how do you find Romania now? How do you find Bucharest now? I tell them, it's a totally different country. And it's not only a different country, it's also a different society. The young generation, which I meet, is much more European than it used to be before, much more open, much more friendly, much more liberal than it used to be 20 years ago. And if this trend continues, I have no doubts that very soon there will be no difference between the Romanian society and any other European society that we see either in Paris, Spain, or in any other place.
My mom came here a few years ago, before my dad went to Israel. And she hadn't been here for, I think, at least 15, 20 years, maybe more. And the first thing she said to me, it's not even the same country. She didn't recognize it at all, anything. And I moved here, as I said, 14 years ago. Before that, it would have been very difficult for me, especially, I lived in LA. I lived in Beverly Hills, I lived in London. To come here was a bit of a culture shock. It was completely different, and it took me a while to get used to it, into the rhythm, into the mentality is different, the whole attitude is different. I'm not now talking about language and, you know, the obvious elements, but it is night and day. I mean, it's not even the same country to what I'm used to, what I remember. So my mother was like, we took her everywhere because I was like, Mom, look, this is like, it's completely, I said, Mom, it's like, she said, it's like coming to another country. And I can understand that because don't forget, we used to come every year and I've seen all the changes for the better. It is much more open because people can travel. In those days, I remember it very well. They had this small percentage that could travel. You had the small percentage that could go out, and the rest were never allowed. There was no exposure to the outside. Since the change, people can now afford to travel. They go out. They see how other people live. It's not just what they see on TV or what they were allowed to watch on television. There is a whole world out there, and I always encourage the young people get out. But the thing that surprises me is that still some of the young people don't speak English. And I know this from when I go out to talk, to here, to there, I go, and I said, I'm surprised because when you go out, you need to speak a certain amount, a minimum. There has to be a minimum that you can communicate to the ticket agent, you communicate on the plane. Some of the young people don't speak English, and that for me is surprising. Did you notice that?
I noticed that most of the young people I meet here in Bucharest or in the big cities, they are speaking very good English. But,
okay,
but
maybe
we have a different experience. Yeah, but from what I saw, they speak a very good English. Of course, different people, different levels, etc., etc. But if we are talking about 20 years ago, which English wasn't a spoken language, today I see I want to communicate with them in Romanian, but they answer to me in English. It's much easier for them to speak with me in English rather than in Romanian. They don't want to hear or sometimes they want to hear my funny Romanian.
Or maybe they're trying to practice their English with you.
Also an option, what shows that they are aware of the fact that they need to speak English.
This is also one of the reasons when I say, okay, you know, I'll practice, they're like, no, we want to work on our English. I'm like, yeah, but then my Romanian is going to go out the window. It doesn't help me. All right, so I just wanted, that was former President Clinton.
Yeah, it looks familiar. The other one looks familiar as well.
Tell me, what's he like? What was it like meeting him?
You know, people used to say that when you meet Clinton and when he talks to you, you feel as if he gives you all the attention of the world. And it's true. When he speaks to you, you feel that he is concentrated in the person he is talking to. And talking about President Clinton, who used to know Prime Minister Rabin, and together with Prime Minister Rabin, they craft the entire peace process in the beginning of the 90s. This was an experience.
You were watching, you were around all of that? Can you discuss it, or is it like off limits?
It depends what.
So how involved were you in it? Let me ask that.
How I was involved, look, before coming to Romania, in the last 4 years before coming to Romania, I was the diplomatic advisor, the senior diplomatic advisor of the President of Israel.
Yes, I read that too.
That's why I had this privilege of meeting all these leaders, and to get, I won't say to get to know them, but to be presented in the meetings of the President of Israel when he met all these leaders. And of course, to prepare the President and to sit together before the meetings and to think how to prepare these meetings. So it was a huge privilege. It was a huge privilege for any diplomat, for any person, to have this opportunity to meet so many big personalities.
I would think so. I would think that would be so exciting.
It was.
All right, I have another question. What is your favorite part of the job? What's the best thing about being an ambassador?
Everything is great.
No,
no, I'm kidding. I mean, people think that being an ambassador, it's full with glamour. Yes, there is a lot of glamour.
There's glamour and there's work.
But there is a lot of work as well.
Yes, I know that from other
There is a lot of work as well, and sometimes I work from 8:30 in the morning till 11:30 or 12 at night because of different commitments. But I think that the fun part, or the fun part of the job is the fact that, of being an Israeli ambassador, I mean, is the fact that all doors are open for you here in Romania. Whether we are talking about the political level, whether we are talking about the media, whether we are talking about the people of culture, universities, you name it. When you are an ambassador of Israel, when you are the ambassador of Israel, all doors are open. And I think there are several reasons, but the main reason, I think, it's because Romanians love Israel. And it's something which we don't take for granted. And we appreciate this friendship of the Romanian people. And coming back to your question, yes, it makes my life much more easy. And it makes my life much more pleasant. And it's fun.
The other question I have, isn't it difficult for you to be able, I mean, you have so many years in one country. You get familiar, you make friends, you get used to the routine, and then after a period of so many years, you move somewhere else. How do you adjust to that?
No, there are advantages and disadvantages. On the one hand, you're right. Every 4 years, you have to move from one country to another. You have to change your friends. You have to change the environment, the language, the mentality, etc., etc. But on the other hand, there are a lot of advantages. For someone like me, who loves different cultures, who want to know different societies, this is the perfect.
It's a perfect
this
job.
This is the perfect job, exactly. So the people who are coming to the foreign ministry are mostly people who like this kind of life.
You would have to like it, because if you didn't, you would be miserable going from place to place.
And you're right. Exactly.
And what I wonder is how the people with families do it, you know, because that's a bit more difficult.
It's also a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge since for a kid to change a school every 3 or 4 years, it's very difficult. Also for a family, also for a spouse who is not a diplomat. I mean, he has or she has to find a new job every 3 or 4 years. It influences the routine of life. It influences sometimes the partnership between the diplomat and the spouse, etc., etc. So, as I said, people think that it's only glamour. It's not only glamour. It's also a lot of challenges. It's also a lot of challenges.
We can tell him it's very glamorous, and he's going to cocktails every night, I'm sure.
This is part of work. Yeah, I'm going also to cocktails, but this is part of work.
Well, you represent the country, and it's important for people to see you out and about.
I totally agree.
And if they have questions, or they have suggestions, or they have ideas about business, you're one of the people they should come to.
I totally agree with you.
You know, you're here to have a good relationship and promote the country, and I think you're... So now you've been here how long? About a year?
10 months.
10 months, okay. Now, just
but
suppose...
who's counting?
No, because my question is now, so when do you find out that where are you moving next? Do they tell you at the end of the posting, a year before? I'm asking all the questions that other people are asking that they want to know.
It depends. When usually you get the post abroad 7-8 months in advance. So you have time to prepare yourself for the post, to read, to learn, to have meetings, to have meetings with people related to your new post, to learn the language if necessary, etc., etc. When you are moving back, in my case, to Israel, sometimes you don't know to which post you are returning. So sometimes you return and you are waiting till you get a certain post back in Israel. Because as a diplomat, as an Israeli diplomat, I know that it's different from a country to country. As an Israeli diplomat, you can't be more than 5 years abroad. So you go on a mission for 4 or 5 years, maximum 5 years, then you have to return to Israel, to the headquarters in Jerusalem, and to serve there at least for 2 more years.
I didn't know that.
And then you can go, or you can apply once again to another job. Now, it has a lot of logic behind it. The logic is that sometimes if you serve more than 5 years, if you serve, for example, 10 years abroad, you forget how to be an Israeli. And
so they remind you.
You have to be connected to the society and to the country you are representing. It makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
No, it does make a lot of sense. Absolutely. So now how many years have you been abroad? It will be...
No, since I was 4 years with the Israeli president in Jerusalem before coming here.
Oh, so now
I have my 4 years term in Romania.
There are questions that people have, because we were talking about this. Everybody was very excited that you were coming. I was very excited. I said, okay, so let's ask the questions that most people don't get the chance, or maybe they're shy. Sometimes people are shy.
Or they don't get the chance to.
They don't get the
ask.
opportunity to come say hello, and you can't just come up in the middle of a conversation and say, so how many? But I said, since you're here, I said, everybody tell me what you want to know. I don't want to put you in the hot seat. I want you to feel very comfortable. But these are, things that we think about. How long is the term, and what happens when you have to move your family around? Because I know I know actually quite a few of the Israeli ambassadors over the years that have been here.
One of the questions that, talking about cocktails, for example, many people think that half of my time I'm spending in cocktails.
No, that's
no. Yes, cocktails, it's part of our work. But first, there is an embassy to run. The Israeli embassy here is it's a medium big embassy, around 30 people who are working in the embassy. And you have to show them the way. You have to show the directions. There are goals that the embassy or the team has to fulfill. And so big part of my time, it's not only representing, it's also managing the team I have, or being together with them and doing things together in order to achieve the goal you just mentioned, to be the best representative of the Israeli state.
I'm going to tell everybody else who doesn't know, I know that you go for the cocktail and you usually show your face, I think 20 minutes, and you're out.
Ah, you found out. You found out.
I have sources.
You found out.
I am very well informed.
If I don't succeed to do what I wanted to do in 20 minutes, then no reason to stay more. But it depends.
Well, it depends. Okay, where you are, who you're with, but it's to meet the people. They've seen you there. You've shown your face. You've made your presence felt. People can approach you, and that's another thing I want to tell you. And I won't say, but I've had an experience with one ambassador in the past who really was not so approachable. And I think I'm friendly enough. I mean, I don't like to get in someone's, I introduce myself and this and that, or somebody usually will introduce me. But it's, I think, a very big negative for an ambassador to have a bit of a, like this, in this position, because you have to be receptive to people. And that was the only time I've ever had that experience, and I was actually disappointed, and I was a bit surprised. Because the only time it's ever happened to me.
I usually give this example, I say at the end, or at the beginning and at the end, we are human beings. And if one wants to connect with another, you have to be friendly. It's true in our private life, but it's true also in our professional life. And this human connection, this is the key element to a success in any job, but especially when we are talking about diplomats. If one succeeds to create this human connection with his counterpartner, this is the 80% of the secrets.
100% I agree with you, because I've seen when it works well with the ambassador and the embassy, and I've seen when it's a bit tense and it doesn't work so well. And it affects everybody, and it also affects the people outside looking in. because sometimes you think, is it just me? But then I watch, and I just sit quietly and I watch it. And some people are actually, I think, maybe not as well suited to the job. Now, let me think very carefully before I put my big foot in my mouth. Some people probably aren't as well suited to the job as they think they are. So I'm so glad that you enjoy what you do. You're very good at what you do.
Thank you.
And I hadn't had the chance to meet you till recently, but I heard about you from people. And obviously, she was here before, Tali Shamar, and we talked about your coming in, and because I'm always curious who's coming in, what are they like, do they speak English well? That's a consideration. Okay, so because if somebody starts coming and speaking to me in Hebrew, I'm like, oh boy.
I hope my English is good enough.
Your English is terrific. Everybody comes on and says, but my English, I'm like, it's okay. People will understand, we will speak slowly and clearly. I was told this like 10 times, speak slowly and clearly, and everybody will understand. So what do you want to tell me about that I wouldn't know unless you were here to tell me about the ambassadorship? Surprise me with a fact that I don't know.
I think you keep on asking me the questions and I'll give the answers.
Okay, so is there an age limit to what they let you do it, and then they say you have to go home or what?
In the past, there was an age limit if you wanted to apply and to enter the foreign ministry. When I entered the foreign ministry, I was 31 years old, and the age limit was 32. If you were older,
oh, you were old. They were like, oh, I don't know, he's on the border.
If you were older than 32, you couldn't.
Seriously, why?
Enter the foreign ministry.
Why?
These were the rules.
But I want to know why.
I don't know what were the rules. There is no logic behind it.
No, I can't figure it out.
Maybe I'm not sure. But maybe the reason was that, look, we are investing in someone, so we want him to have a long career.
Fresh. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. And since it was something which wasn't logical, so people applied to court, to the Supreme Court in Israel, and the law or the regulations changed. Today, no matter how old you are, you can enter the foreign ministry.
So they took it out completely?
They took it out completely.
Wow.
And the good thing is that many people enter the foreign ministry as a second career. Now, why is it good? After they had a certain career, either in technology or engineering or other services or as lawyers, etc., they gained a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And now when they enter the foreign ministry, they can bring this experience inside the foreign ministry.
Brilliant idea.
So things have changed. So in the past, the age limit was 32. Today, there is no age limit. At the same time, when a diplomat reaches the age of 67, like any other civil servant in Israel, he goes on pension.
They retire you.
Even if you don't want, but yes.
I would think by then you're ready for a break, It's enough, yeah?
Depends. We spoke about it earlier. It depends on your energy. There are people who were born tired. There are people who doesn't matter how hard they work, they are full with energy. So it's very subjective.
The other day we were writing on my WhatsApp and they said, what should we write? I said, born busy. And they were like, what? I said, born busy. That's exactly it. And I had a big birthday this year and said, are you going to retire? I'm like, no, darling, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to retire when they put me 10 feet under. Till then, I have so many things to do. And because I do see, people next to me, and they're like, oh, I'm like, I have maybe a different attitude, also because I'm a foreigner. You have one life. I don't believe in the before and the after. We don't, connect to that. What I'm going to do is when I'm here on the planet now, and I wanted to count for something and to make a difference for people, so retire is like, in my book, personally, much later. Somebody else is like, to do what? And I was telling you, I said, to do what? To sit home, watch TV, and I will get crazy. I will become really crazy. So, no, it's not something we do. So then, now my next question. So after they retire, what do they do?
Depends on the person. There are people who are looking for a new career or a different career. Other might go to the academia. Others are sitting at home with the families.
With the grandchildren and enjoying them.
Enjoying them. It depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the person.
Now, I have a theory that people should travel a lot when they're young. I'll tell you why. Because I've heard this in America a lot. They're like, oh, when we retire, like 65, we're going to travel. I told them, you know something? I don't understand your attitude. And they said, what do you mean? I said, because you're so tired. Let me tell you, I took Joseph, we went to the Coliseum. There's a lot of steps there. I do not want to be doing that when I can't get up the steps. I want to be doing when I have power. So I said, you have to think about every year to go see something new. When you have strength, I know now that I will never see Machu Picchu. I've accepted it. It took me time, but I have accepted it because I will drop dead going up and down. There's no way. It's not going to happen. You know? I would have loved to have shown my kid that, but it's not going to happen. I should have done it 25 years ago. So I encourage people to go out and to see and to travel now, because if you wait and you do everything later, sweetheart, you don't have the powers.
I have my theory is a bit different. I think that you should travel while you are young, but you also should travel while you are mature.
No, always. I mean, but especially like I'm saying, the physical stuff, you know. I can go till I'm 90 to sit in Paris and have a croissant, and that is not a problem. I'm just not going to be able to climb up to the Eiffel Tower and back. Let me put it that way. That is not going to happen. That's so optimistic. So now, I heard, now we'll get serious about some of the business, because I'm sure I can mention it, but I think it's a wonderful thing that the embassy did. They put money for a hospital. I heard.
Every year, every embassy is organizing a reception for, talking about cocktails, for the Independence Day, for the National Day. This year I decided to do something different. We decided at the embassy is to take the funds, to take the money, to take the budget, which aim was to organize a big reception. You know, every year we have.
I know they do it at the.
We have 1,000 people who are coming to celebrate with us our Independence Day. And this year we decided to do something much more modest and to take this budget and to donate the money to the Viața, an organization which is building the first oncological pediatric hospital in Romania.
Kol hakavod.
And to tell you the truth, I felt that we did something good. We did something good.
No, kol hakavod. I say bravo, and I was actually very proud, and I was thrilled to read that. And I thought, you know, this is something.
You know, I got a lot of phone calls of people telling us, "What about? I wasn't invited to your event this year." I said, "Yes, because there is no event this year." And I also sent a letter to all my colleagues, to all other diplomats, all other ambassadors here in Bucharest, telling them this year no reception for our Independence Day, but feel as if you contributed your share in our activity.
Very nice. That was your idea?
Of the team. Yes.
Yeah, of the team. I think it's great.
Thank
you know,
you.
I think it's terrific. And if we got a bunch of people together to do that, it'd be terrific.
And I hope that other embassies, other ambassadors, other companies or enterprises will do the same. Because at the end, you know, we go to many receptions, we are eating, drinking, that's fine. But at the end, if we take these funds and we do with these funds something tangible, something that can help the others.
Yeah. You can't compare. I think it's wonderful. I always say in a country, the most important things are the health of the people, the education of the people, and the security of the people. And that's where you have to focus, because everything else, in my opinion, comes after that. And I have discussions with people because we have then, you know, the state and the church, and I believe in, you know, religious freedom for all, but There are other priorities, in my opinion. Also, again, it's different for me now as a parent. 20 years ago, I may not have thought like that, but you know, when you grow up and you have responsibility, you have to then look at things differently. So I wanted to tell you, I was very touched that they're doing that, because they do need hospitals here, they need children's hospitals here. And
you know,
it's such a lovely gesture.
Many people are saying that this is something that the government should do. And I always try and take examples from Israel. Yes, in Israel also the government is constructing hospitals, but many of the funds to the hospitals, or many hospitals are also doing fundraising in order to upgrade their services, or the services they are giving to the citizens. So at the end, it's true, it's the responsibility of a government, but at the same time, if society can help, then we have a win-win.
I've seen what they've done in Israel. Okay, my daddy was there. I've seen the hospitals. I see there is a lot of also private. The private citizens get involved. I'm not sure really how it works here, so I'm not able to give a comment. But if we could get more private citizens involved, they need hospitals, they need schools, they need a lot of things. It has come a long way, but it still has to be built up. But you know, I knew my invitation was lost in the mail, so that was not. So I was like, okay, I said maybe next year. One day I'll ask about it. But now I feel much better that you told me, so I don't.
We had no reception this year. But as I said, feel as if your invitation, or by not inviting you, you contributed your share.
Oh, you're good. Oh. By not inviting me. Did you hear that?
By not attending.
I thought that was lovely.
By not attending.
By not attending and by not inviting me, I actually helped contribute to this.
Your share.
Wow, that was real. People listen and learn how to be a diplomat. This is why you are where you are today. Oh, bravo. I could learn a lot. You know what my problem is? I could never be a diplomat. You want me to tell you why? Because I have sometimes, I don't say a big mouth, but sometimes, and I think before I speak, I don't like to just pop it out, but because I'm so honest and direct, it's not the best quality.
Another myth that we can kill this evening.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
What? Okay.
People think that diplomats are not speaking in a direct way. And they must tell you that it depends on the person. It's true that as diplomats, we are softening the message, but by softening the message doesn't mean that we are not direct, that we are not honest, and we don't say what we think.
And there's hope for me yet.
It's only the tone. It's only the tone, and it's only the way you put the phrase together, which makes the difference.
You know, I tell Joseph that. I go, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And he goes, well, when he was younger, he says, what did that mean? I said, now he gets it. Because there's so many ways to say, you know, this, but it depends on how you say it and the emphasis you put on it.
You know, there is this joke about diplomats. When a diplomat says no, he means, when he says no, he means maybe. When he says maybe, he means no. When he says no, he's not a diplomat.
I like it. Okay, I didn't even know there were diplomat jokes, so now I'm going to learn something else.
Not too many, because usually diplomats are serious people. No, but
you see, no, but it's so refreshing to meet someone that's not so serious. And, okay, I'm so glad you used it, because I didn't want to say it. You're so relaxed. It's really, it's as a, you know, as a person around, it's a pleasure. It really,
Thank you,
it's
Nora.
so nice.
Thank you.
Because sometimes people are afraid to approach, and I'm sure you know that, especially being Israeli and with all the security, it is intimidating.
You know, there is another, we're living in an era of social media. And people are connecting with me on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, etc., etc. And sometimes when they see that me, the ambassador, is doing is giving likes to their posts, they are thrilled. Wow,
They get excited. I get excited, yes.
The ambassador liked my post. Yeah,
Yes.
the ambassador liked your post because it's a nice post.
Yes, but it's nice. And it's refreshing, and you know, I love it, and I think other people appreciate it. I'm glad you figured that out. Did you hear all this? I'm getting all the secrets tonight, guys. So, anything else you want to share with us?
No, please, you are asking the right questions.
Oh, we're out of time. All right. I want to say thank you so much, Your Excellency.
We run out of time.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. It's
I
45
enjoyed
minutes.
it.
So did I. I told you, it's very relaxed.
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. See you next week. Good night, y'all.